All right, we're back, Truth Seeker, and it is Rambo's time to shine. But before we put Rambo on, I gotta validate what Rambo brought up last week. Check this out. So again, last week Rambo connected Jupiter and Thursday and the number 99, and he's done it before, but he continues to connect it. Somebody this week dug up this artifact. Great caller from New York. Daft Punk, they started their whole robot thing on the date September 9th, 9/9, in the year 99, and the story was that there was a mistake in the studio that caused this big kaboom at 9:09 a.m. So 9:09 on 9/9 in the year 99, and that was on a Thursday. And again, Thursday is named after Jupiter, so Jupiter's got that gematria of 99. So this Thursday Jupiter ritual with 99 that made them robotic. So, and you think of robots, electricity, again, Jupiter's the electrical planet. And then, did you see what happened the very next day? The day after Rambo gave that presentation? Lady Gaga was the big story, right? Everybody loves their tabloid news. They put out the news story of somebody attacking Lady Gaga's dog walker and taking her French bulldogs. And they even put out video that was so blurry you couldn't make out anything and you couldn't even see any dogs. And not once did the dogs bark. And it had, sound effects straight from the Three Stooges. It was totally believable, in other words. But the cover image for the story that the mainstream ran with was Lady Gaga holding up a jacket with a lightning bolt on it. Why? Why that photo? And again, Rambo was just talking about all this last week. Jupiter, the electrical planet. Jupiter is Zeus, the lightning thunder god. So again, you learn the code, you learn how to connect the dots, you learn the symbolism, how the things go together. It's everywhere around you. It's everywhere around you. And with that said, I'm going to bring Rambo on right now. And how you doing tonight, friend?
Thanks again.
Of course.
I left a comment under that post on GematriaEffect.news, the one on the Daft Punk and the 99s.
I saw that. Thank you.
All right, okay, good. Also, September 9th, 2021, this year, again falls on a Thursday. And Thursday, again, Jupiter Day. Jueves in Spanish. Jeudi in French. That's Jupiter. It falls again. Jupiter Day is again on September 9th, 9/9. You think there might be another ritual this year on 9/9 on Thursday? Well, you know what happens on September 9th, Thursday this year, right?
On Thursday, September 9th this year, well, it'll be an anniversary of the United States of America being named. Maybe that's the first game of football this season? Is that Thursday Night Football?
Exactly. Yep, opening day of the NFL.
There we go.
So, we'll see. We'll see what happens there. I don't know, maybe some Sagittarius is going to shine, or again, there are three teams in the NFL with Jupiter symbols. We've talked about the Bengals, the Bengal tiger striped.
Well,
Jupiter
Patrick
is
Mahomes,
the striped planet.
Patrick Mahomes is a wait, no, hold on. Never mind. He's a Virgo. Never mind. Go ahead.
Yeah. So there are three teams with Jupiter symbols. One is the Bengals. We've gone over them. That's why they hosted the Great Conjunction game. The other is the Eagles, which that's actually the main Jupiter symbol, which I'm going to talk about that again today. And the other is the Chargers, who have the lightning bolt. In fact, this season, the Bengals played the Chargers. These are two Jupiter symbols. The Bengals played the Chargers 99 days before the Great Conjunction.
Huh.
Yep. So, yeah. So we'll see. So I also have another decoder. After you did the Daft Punk thing, that sparked another decoder. I looked into it. So, yeah, I'll talk about that some other time. But, for today, talk about Pope Francis, who will be visiting Iraq starting this Friday, March 5th. Again, March 5th, 3-5, Catholic 3-5. We went over that. His visit will culminate on March 8th. Multiple posts and presentations that I've done provide the explanation, or at least partial explanation. I don't claim to have all the answers of the ritual and the esoteric basis for his trip to Iraq. On the surface, it makes no sense. In fact, the Vatican is being roundly condemned and questioned as to the prudence, practicality, and necessity of the trip. Well, I put up a post on Gematria Effect.news with graphics. It's titled Pope Francis's Visit to Iraq, Jupiter, Babylon, Rome, and the Temple of Solomon. Yeah, so the trip on an exoteric level makes absolutely no sense. There's a worldwide crisis, travel restriction. There's restrictions on people gathering. It's an unstable country. It's volatile. A U.S. airbase just today, they say, was reported to have been hit by some rockets. They say no military personnel died, but I think a civilian or someone supposedly died of a heart attack. I mean, if it happened, I don't mean to minimize it, but you never know with these people if it happened or not. But yeah, that shows you the volatility of the country. And another thing, and in January there were suicide bombs in Baghdad. So everything points to an unsafe, volatile situation to go into. It's unnecessary. It's a Muslim country, predominantly Shia and with some Sunni. And the Christian minority in Iraq are of the Chaldean Church, one of the original churches. So there are hardly any Catholics at all. So it makes no sense. Why would you go there? It just makes no sense exoterically, but we know we're dealing with the esoteric when we deal with these people. That's what I'm going to talk about. So what I'm going to show is the roots. It's based on the roots of the Roman Empire, who have their roots in Babylon, which is also influences the present-day Jesuit order and Catholic Church, and that will explain why he's going. That's Babylon. He's venerating something that they whatever, it's behind their power, whether it's some spiritual thing, whatever. But this is an important, on an esoteric level, this is an important trip. So the United States is the new Rome. Rome was the new Babylon. And the United States, so the United States is the new Babylon. You could say it's the new Babylon as well. I've talked about the most salient symbol of Babylon and Rome, which I just hit on earlier, which is the eagle. This just for an example. I'm not going to go over all the symbols, but the eagle, which is a symbol of Jupiter, whom the Catholic Church venerates in the form of Saint Peter. Jupiter is Zeus to the Greeks. Zeus, Peter. Zeus, Peter, Zeus, Peter, Zeus, Peter. Well, that sounds like Jupiter. Zeus, Peter, Jupiter. Gematria confirms this association with the number 71. Again, this is a really long list. I'll only give a few of the key ones. Gematria confirms this association. Zeus is 71. Peter is 71. Catholic is 71. Babylon is 71. The Jesuit order is 71. And it's a much longer list. So the trip by the first openly Jesuit pope, he's a very significant pope. The first pope to admit he's Jesuit, very significant, by no coincidence, is a Sagittarius, because the zodiac sign of Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. I've gone over it over and over again. His name, Bergoglio, double matchup with Jupiter, double matchup with Sagittarius. All his key dates when he became a cardinal, when his papacy began, is either under Sagittarius or under Pisces. Pisces ruled by Jupiter. It's obvious. It's too much to be a coincidence. But the location of Babylon, is the location of the original archetype for Zeus and Jupiter, which is the Sumerian Enlil, the storm god. That's who's being venerated. So this pilgrimage is also related to Solomon and the Temple of Solomon in its various manifestations. Jupiter is venerated by Babylon and Rome. So both Babylon and Rome, and I showed it with the eagle. The eagle is their symbol. It came from Babylon. That's why Rome used the eagle. That comes from Babylon. And it was Babylon and Rome who destroyed the Temple of Solomon. So the power behind the Vatican, which is behind the United States, which is of Babylonian and older Akkadian and Sumerian origin, has a disdain for Solomon. It's no coincidence that Babylon and Rome destroyed the Temple of Solomon. So they have something against this Temple of Solomon. What is it? The sacred Jewish site of the Western Wall in Jerusalem is said to be a remnant of the Temple of Solomon, but it is not. It is not. The Western Wall is not Solomon's temple. In fact, if you go by the Bible, it's very explicit, and Jesus even predicts that the Temple of Solomon will be completely destroyed and not a stone left. There'll be no remnant and no trace that it ever existed. They're pretty explicit in the Bible. Jesus himself is quoted as saying the degree to which they will pretty much turn the Temple of Solomon into dust. There will be nothing remaining. So if somebody trusts the words of Jesus, well, they should question what this wall is. Well, we know what it is. It's the remnant of the Roman fortress of Antonia. That's what the Western Wall is, from the fortress of Antonia. It's a retaining wall. The real site of Solomon's temple, where it used to stand, is in the part of Jerusalem known as the City of David. Even mainstream archaeologists and historians are starting to come around. This is actually a mainstream. This is not a conspiracy. It's outside the conspiracy realm now. Mainstream has accepted this, that this is not the site of the Temple of Solomon. It's pretty much accepted mainstream. This is not even a conspiracy theory anymore. So the Temple Mount, where the fortress was, which is a holy site, is also sacred to Islam. It houses the Al-Aqsa Mosque, but again, this is, it's really not what they think it is. Babylon and Rome, and they're still in power now, destroyed Solomon's temple. Babylon and Rome are in power, so it stands to reason that today's ruling powers, if they're influenced by Babylon and Rome, will make sure that Solomon's temple is not venerated. That's why they're doing this, because Babylon and Rome are still in power. They destroyed Solomon's temple. The last thing they want to do is honor it. That's why they trick people into honoring the Roman fort. They have a disdain for Solomon, and that's what I'm going to talk about. So that's why this is big deception of a Roman site being worshipped. Now, to understand this, there's an important astrological phenomenon to note, which is the Zodiacal Detriment. Every sign in the zodiac has and its ruling planet has its detriment. The detriment of a sign and its ruling planet is the one directly opposite in the zodiacal wheel. The zodiacal wheel is like a pizza pie with 12 slices. The slice directly opposite each other are each other's detriment. And because Babylon and Rome venerate Jupiter, you have to look at the detriment of Jupiter, which is Mercury, and vice versa. Mercury is the detriment of Jupiter. Jupiter rules Sagittarius and Pisces. Mercury rules Gemini and Virgo. The planet Mercury is at its weakest in the constellations of Sagittarius and Pisces. Jupiter is at its weakest when it is in the constellations of Gemini and Virgo. That's how the detriment works. So Mercury represents, among many other things, dualism, duality, like the Chinese yin-yang symbol. That's why in Gematria, Mercury is 41, yin-yang is 41. Mercury is Hermes to the Greek. The Hermetic principles are named after Hermes. And the Hermetic principles have to do with duality. The Hermetic principle of correspondence, as above, so below, above, below. Or the Hermetic principle of gender, male, female. Or the Hermetic principle of polarity, which is self-explanatory. Polarity, polar opposites. The symbols for opposites are the upward pointed triangle and the downward pointed triangle. When they are overlapped, they form a Star of David hexagram. The Star of David can represent the planet Saturn, but it can also represent Mercury / Hermes. That mercurial duality is expressed in the name Solomon. Sol, like in Spanish, sun is sol. Sol means sun. Mon means moon. So Sol-Mon is sun-moon. So that duality is represented in the name Solomon. So sun-moon, like male-female. Above, below. Yin-yang. So Solomon is Mercury as revealed by Gematria. If you look at Gematria, you'll see the overlap between Solomon and Mercury. And hence, astrologically, Solomon is the nemesis, being Mercury is the nemesis of Jupiter, who is Babylon and Rome. Hence why both Babylon and Rome destroyed the Temple of Solomon and won't let it be venerated today. So another thing to remember is that the Roman Babylonian power structure, as we can see, is demonic and psychopathic. Solomon controlled demons and literally enslaved them, forcing them to build his temple. This is obviously a metaphor. Demons didn't actually build a physical temple. It's still a metaphor for a deeper esoteric teaching. But any entity who favors demons, like these people, would understandably hate Solomon. And the temple, which signifies control and triumph over demonic forces. Again, which these are metaphorical, but the symbol of Solomon, whether he's an actual person or not, is understandably despised by Babylon and Rome. The Jewish holy day of Tisha B'Av, the 9th day of the 11th month of the Hebrew civic calendar, commemorates primarily the destruction of the first and second temples of Solomon in Gematria. Tisha B'Av sums to 911 in the Latin cipher. This is Jewish cipher on the Gematrinator. Tisha B'Av sums to 911. The number 911 and 119 have become symbols of the ritual destruction of the Temple of Solomon. The Fortress Antonia can be called the Fortress of Antonia, whose retaining wall deceptively represents the western wall of the Temple of Solomon. The Fortress of Antonia also sums to 911 in the same cipher, Latin Jewish cipher, as Tisha B'Av does. So what does that tell you? Gematria reveals the deception. Mercury and Hermes are Roman and Greek analogs of an archetype that includes Egyptian, Cometian, Jehuti or Tehuti or Thoth is where he's best known. That's the same part of the same archetype. And Zoroaster or Zarathustra of Persia. Pre-Islamic Persia venerated a Mercury-related deity, that's Zarathustra, Zoroaster. This explains why it was a Persian who rebuilt the Temple of Solomon, who is Cyrus the Great. He was Persian. That's because the Persians venerated Mercury in the form of Zarathustra. And Solomon is Mercury. Persia, the Gematria confirms the Cyrus and the Persia connection. If you compare the Gematria of Persia with Hermes, it's a triple matchup over in the base ciphers. So, and it was Donald Trump, everybody remembers, who was compared to Cyrus and pledged to build the third temple. The reason they chose Donald Trump for that ritual, they even made the shekel, the Israeli shekel, with Cyrus's head and Donald Trump's head on the Israeli shekel. Now, the reason Trump was chosen for that ritual is because Trump is a Gemini, and the symbol for Gemini is the twin pillars. The twin pillars are the most salient feature of the Temple of Solomon. It's best known for its twin pillars, which is a symbol of Gemini. That's why they had a Gemini president, Trump, go along with Cyrus ritual. And, of course, Gemini is ruled by Mercury. Now, there's absolutely no sincere intention to rebuild the third temple. I don't believe that. I don't believe there's any. They really do not intend. When you consider who's in power and what these symbols mean, it's pretty clear that was never a sincere intention of building that temple. And if it really was sincere and they really were in power, these pro-temple, then Trump they would have had Trump win again and have the temple built. But now the guy who was so pro-temple is no longer in power. Well, they never intended to build the temple. It was just a ritual.
What about this theory? Let's say Biden kicks the bucket in office, Kamala becomes number 47, and she runs against Trump in the next election, which will be the 60th presidential election. If Trump won, he'd become number 48 in the 60th election, and Donald Trump is 48 forward, 60 in reverse. It's possible they could do it in the future.
I mean, Trump could win. Even if Trump does win, just understanding the symbolism and the importance and who's in power, it's Rome and Babylon. Rome and Babylon will never rebuild the temple. If they do rebuild it, they'll destroy it. And they'll blame Muslims probably.
I hear all that.
Babylon and Rome.
I was just going to say, I'd remind people that Donald Trump was in Jerusalem for Jerusalem Day in 2017, and then he flew directly from Jerusalem to the Vatican, and that's where he had that infamous picture with Melania and Ivanka looking like they were ready for the funeral, and the grin with that poopy diaper face, while Trump had that big mischievous grin. That photo, that was from May 24th, 2017, the 144th day of the year, and again, Jesuit Order 144, and so the point is, though, that this Trump, he went from Jerusalem for Jerusalem Day to the Vatican, again, connecting those two locations. But I hear everything else you're saying. I'm listening.
Yeah, so the power behind the Vatican is Rome and Babylon. Babylon is behind, and they are the two, Rome and Babylon, who destroyed the temple. So I do not believe for 1 second that they are sincere. They've tricked people into worshiping at the Roman fort, so at Antonius. That tells you right there how insincere they are about honoring the temple. They tricked people into worshiping at the fortress Antonia.
And
Temple
Mount, what they call it, has that Gematria 46, like Catholic, like religion. So they named it accordingly.
Yeah, so even if Trump comes back, they're using him for the ritual. Again, I told you how birthdays are important. It's because he's a Gemini, Gemini's twins, the twin pillars. That's why they picked him. Trump doesn't care about the temple, and he doesn't care about it. He doesn't really care. They don't care. It's just a ritual. But we know who these people venerate, and it's not Solomon. Solomon controlled demons. These people like demons. Like, they resent anyone who can enslave demons. So, yeah, the World Trade Center, Building 7, now also, So, yeah, the New York City's World Trade Center, the original World Trade Center, that was actually a representation of Solomon's Temple. If anything was the third temple, that was it. As you take into consideration, this is the Twin Pillars. The Twin Pillars, and Freemasonry has this in their tracing boards. When you take the Twin Pillars of Freemason tracing board and you turn it horizontally, the Twin Pillars represent the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn. The Tropic of Cancer and Capricorn are separated by 47 degrees. Building 7,
Rambo.
the middle pillar was called the spot.
Rambo, I'd pause right there because we're supposed to hear the music right now, but yeah, it just put us in commercial break right now. So we're in commercial break, so the people on the radio can't hear us. But now the music's all messed up. We'll be right back, everybody. Sit tight. Quick break.
Censorship and regulation is becoming an ever-growing problem in today's modern media. From the mainstream to YouTube and Google, the information you're looking for is buried by official narratives and propaganda. This is why TFR is 100% uncensored, unregulated, and listener-supported. The shows on TFR are not micromanaged by the station, and our hosts are free to speak their minds however they please. As such, the views and opinions expressed on our station are of those who make them. If you happen to hear anything offensive on TFR, please send us an email to toughtitty@tfrlive.com, and we'll be happy to tell you that we really don't give a damn. We stand for freedom of speech and non-censorship. If you also stand for free speech, you can go to tfrlive.com/signup and sign up for a TFR supporter pass and help us in our mission to keep the airwaves uncensored and unregulated. TFR Live, your uncensored and unregulated protection from deception.
A possible plot. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. The House will not be in session tomorrow after Capitol Police revealed it has intelligence showing a militia group may be planning an attack on the U.S. Capitol. It's coming after the Senate panel held its second hearing on the deadly January 6th riot.
D.C. National Guard Commander Major General William Walker told a congressional hearing he received a frantic phone call from former Capitol Police Chief Stephen Sund at 1:49 p.m.
Chief Sund, his voice cracking with emotion, indicated that there was a dire emergency at the Capitol.
General Walker testified he didn't get the green light to send in the Guard from Army officials until after 5 p.m. DOD senior official Robert Salasys said then acting Defense Secretary Christopher Miller approved full mobilization at 3:04 and that Guardsmen started heading to the Capitol at 4:32. Rachel Sutherland, Fox News.
The Senate will be working tomorrow, but it will not take up President Biden's nearly $2 trillion coronavirus relief package until Friday at the earliest. The president stressed the importance of getting the bill passed during a virtual meeting with the House Democratic caucus.
The show of unity we're seeing is unprecedented. It isn't just about the sum of the total package. Americans are lockstep on each of the major elements of the plan, and they know what they are.
Senate Republicans say the bill has too much money allocated for what they're calling partisan projects. The White House is hinting of a possible military response after a rocket hit a base in western Iraq where American and coalition troops are housed. An American contractor died after suffering what's being called a cardiac episode while sheltering. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki says the U.S. is determining who was responsible.
If we assess a further response is warranted, we will take action again.
Officials say the attack fits the profile of Iran-backed militia. America is listening to Fox News.
Wherever you are, make it TFR. Truth Frequency Radio.
Condition orange. Condition orange. Situation Delta in effect. Please enter your agent number now, followed by the hash key.
We have to create culture. Don't watch TV. Don't read magazines. Don't even listen to NPR.
time comes when silence is betrayal.
More for themselves and less for everybody else. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them.
Think for yourself. Question authority.
This code has been compromised.
All right, we're back, Truth Seeker, and if you heard that news break, again, tomorrow's the big day where Q's been saying, and by the way, you guys, if you're new here, I don't have anything to do with QAnon. I hate QAnon. I said it would be a psyop to discredit all of us years ago, and now I live in the day and age where Google attaches the QAnon label to my videos, despite how much I can't stand QAnon. But don't forget, QAnon equals the same thing as Google and Gematria, which equals the same thing as Washington, D.C. And like I said, it's a federal psyop. Google, the feds, they're all controlled by this Jesuit cabal. I'm going to do some more thinking, though, on what they got going tomorrow. It's March 4th, which is written 4-3 in the majority of the world. And, of course, Civil War's 43, just like there was all the Civil War symbolism on the January 6th insurrection. March also equals 43. D.C., those letters, D's 4, C's 3. Anyway, I don't want to get down that rabbit hole right now, because we got Rambo, who's still finishing one of his brilliant decodes. And let me put him back on here. All right, Rambo, you got the floor again, friend.
Thanks. Also, during the break, you heard that they blamed the rocket attack today in Iraq on Iran. Like, somehow they know Iran did it. But again, this is part of the ritual I'm talking about.
Well,
Iran
it's probably pretty easy to know when the CIA controls Iran. So, I mean, if the CIA fires off the rockets from Iran, it's easy to say, well, Iran did it.
Yeah, the leadership there is part of it as well.
Again, I mean, you'd have to be dense to think that we ever gave Iran back to them. We overthrew it with the CIA in the 50s. Of course, we've controlled it the whole time. I mean, it's a boogeyman puppet state.
Yeah, but for ritual reasons, they represent the pre-Islamic Zoroastrianism, and Zoroaster is Mercury. So this is part of the demonization. This is part of the ritual. This is Rome. Rome is behind this. This is what they're all about, and Babylon.
And today's 3-3. Let's not forget that false flag is 33. So what a day for a false flag on old 3-3. It's that forbidden language you're not supposed to use on CensorTube, but we're going to use it anyway. So.
33 is also related to Mercury. So for every 33 revolutions that planet Earth makes around the sun, Mercury makes 137. And 137 is the 33rd prime. So that's the relation between Mercury and Earth. That's also where 33 is a big number with Mercury. And I've done a bunch of decodes on the connection with Jesus Christ and Mercury. You know, just look at all the celebrities, especially rappers, who are made to represent Jesus. You know, the Virgos and Gemini, that's not a coincidence. But, yeah, 33 is related to Mercury as well. So the World Trade Center originally was a Temple of Solomon. The most obvious indication of that is that Building 7, the middle pillar, was called the Solomon Brothers Building. Solomon, that's like Solomon in Latin. Right. But the two towers, one pillar represents the Tropic of Cancer, the other represents the Tropic of Capricorn. The two tropics are separated by 47 degrees. That's why the Solomon Brothers building was 47 stories high. That was a reference to the number of degrees between the Tropic of Cancer and Capricorn. And a further confirmation, which, again, all this can't be a coincidence, is that Tower 1, which represents the Tropic of Capricorn was topped off on a date under Capricorn, and Tower 2, which represents the Tropic of Cancer, was topped off on a date under Cancer. It's too much of a... That's not a coincidence. That was the Temple of Solomon, the World Trade Center, and the reason they built it was to destroy it. So yeah, the Solomon, and so if you spell out World Trade Center Building 7, which is the Salomon Brothers building, World Trade Center Building 7, spell out the number 7. In the septenary cipher, it sums to 119. So also, if you look at Fortress Antonia and compare that to Salomon Brothers, that is a super match. So Gematria again shows you the relation. For Fortress Antonia, that's the fake Temple of Solomon, and the Salomon Brothers, that's the that pretty much put the signature on the World Trade Center. But look, they have a super match across 3 of the base ciphers in Gematria. Also, there's another thing. So when I was saying how Sagittarius and Pisces are used to represent Jupiter, which is Rome and Babylon, and they demonize Mercury, I'm not saying that Gemini and Mercury is good and Virgo is good, and that Sagittarius, Jupiter, and Pisces is evil. It doesn't work that way. They're doing this for the rich. I stress that all the time. And evidence of this is when you consider who built the World Trade Center to have it destroyed and have all that destruction and death and suffering. It was David Rockefeller, who's a Gemini. They have Geminis, to represent Mercury to build the temple, just like they did with Persia. Cyrus is from Persia. Persia venerated Zoroaster, who's Mercury. But it was David Rockefeller, a Gemini, complete psychopath, who built the World Trade Center and who built the main driving force between the new Freedom Tower World Trade Center. It's Larry Silverstein. That's another complete psychopath. And he's a Gemini too. So that's proof that this is not about, Gemini good, Sagittarius bad. That's not how it works. This is just what they use for the ritual. And whoever is part of this, part of this sorcery, it doesn't matter to them what zodiac sign they are. I mean, they're all evil, and they can come from all signs. So I just want to stress that. They're just using these signs and planets and their properties for their rituals. And all planets and signs have their positive and negative. There's no evil sign, or I just want to stress that. So also destruction of Solomon's temple comes to 911. So of the 72 demons that Solomon enslaved to build his temple, they say he used 72 demons. He controlled them and enslaved them. Well, demon number 1, because they're numbered 1 through 72 by name. Demon number 1, this is from the Ars Goetia, is Baal. That's Baal. Known as Baal. It's almost known as Baal. He's number 1. His title is the King of Hell. And he's also associated with the Canaanite Baal, who is a storm god and a lightning god. And he's depicted holding a lightning bolt. So again, there's that theme again. Who's Baal, number 1, lightning god. Now you understand why they don't like Solomon, because he controlled them and enslaved them. Again, you see that Jupiter-Mercury opposition, and we know which side they're on. So the Pope is going to the location that Babylon and Sumer once stood to pay homage to the original storm god, and that's Enlil. I've talked about that. It's Enlil of Sumer. We see that Jupiter-Mercury opposition is in play for the Pope's visit, when you know that Pope Francis is a Sagittarius and represents Jupiter. Iraq's head of state is President Barham Salih, S-A-L-I-H, Barham Salih. He was born the day after September 11th. September 12th is his birthday, which makes him a Virgo and Mercury. Salih's hometown is a place named Sulaimania. Sulaiman is Solomon in Arabic. So his hometown is actually named after Solomon. So this is part of the ritual. He comes from Soleimania, which it used to be called Slemani, which is another variation of Solomon. His birthday is September 12th, leaves 110 days in the year. 110 is a major number for September 11th, with the Twin Towers, each 110 stories high. Also, the antenna on the Tower 1 was 110 meters high. So the Arabic form of Solomon, Sulaiman, some still 110. Star of David hexagram, some still 110. That's a big number here. And of course, David, it's called the Star of David because David was the father of Solomon. The Pope is supposedly paying homage to Abraham. They're making a big deal of this. Like, this is where the Abrahamic religions respond, because this is the home of Abraham, the father of the Abrahamic religions. But look at the name of the Iraqi president, Barham. That's very close to Abraham. Not by coincidence, that's part of the ritual. And what do you think the Gematria is of Barham, the president of Iraq's first name, Barham? It's 119, 11-9. Also, because his birthday is September 12th, on September 11th, 2001, he was 40 years old. And the next day, after 9/11, September 12th, he turned 41. 40 and 41 are both Gematria values of Mercury. So, yeah, he definitely represents Mercury. 9/11, it's all over this. So this brings up another ritual with the same elements. On 3rd January 2020, the assassination by the United States forces of the Iranian general Qasem Soleimani. There's that name again, Soleimani. This is his last name is a Persian version of Solomon, the general who was assassinated. And again, they're using Persia again because Persia is Zoroaster, who's Mercury, just like they did today, blaming Persia, Iran, for the rocket attack. It's all about demonizing Mercury. So his name, Soleimani, that's Solomon. And in Gematria, General Qasem Soleimani, some still 119. Also, the date that he was killed was 3rd January, 3-1, like 31. Solomon, some still 31. Just like Hermes, who's some still 31. 41 is a big Mercury number. When 9/11 happened on a day with a 41 numerology, General Soleimani was he was a commander of the 41st Sarala Division, the Iranian Army. 41st, that's a Mercury number. Also, there's a theory. There's a Scottish Freemason named Prince Michael of Albany. He puts it out there. We once had a caller who alluded to this. Then there's also some conservative Jewish writers who they've theorized that the Temple of Solomon could have been in Saudi Arabia, in Mecca, because when the Israelites left Egypt, they were in the desert for 30 years. Like, nobody would just sit in the middle of the desert for 30 years. They theorized that, no, they actually had gone to Mecca. That might also be a location for Solomon's temple, which that's interesting because when you note who the current king of Saudi Arabia is Salman, King Salman. That's another variation of Solomon. And his son is Mohammed bin Salman. And both of them were born on the 31st. The king was born on December 31st, and the son, bin Salman, who's in the news now, was born August 31st. Again, 31 is Gematria value of Solomon. Of course, August 31st makes the son, Mohammed bin Salman, a Virgo, again, ruled by Mercury. But again, he's being demonized as well. All this negative news that has to do with that. They said he ordered the killing of the Saudi journalist in Turkey. They're saying he's definitely guilty. But again, he's Mercury again, August 31st. 31 is Solomon. And also in 2015, Mecca had its own 9/11 when there was the Mecca crane collapse on September 11th, in 2015. And the crane was owned by the Saudi bin Laden group. And there were 111 victims who died. And and the last thing to end is this year on January 21st in Iraq, ahead of the Pope's visit, there were twin suicide bombs announced in Baghdad. But now you see the symbolism, twin. They were twin suicide bombs. And plus suicide bombs. These are all elements of 9/11. Twins, the Twin Tower, twin suicide bombs, suicide attackers. And they say they reported 110 injured. Like, we know what 110 is about. So, again, there's that symbolism again in the twin bombings reported in Baghdad earlier this year, ahead of the Pope's visit. So, yeah. There's a lot more to it, but, yeah, that's... thanks again for giving me the time and the platform. And, yeah, that's my decode for the day.
Well, great work as always, Rambo. I appreciate it. And what do you think of that whole Lady Gaga story last Thursday with her holding up the lightning bolt?
Yeah, there could be. I have to look more into that, but you'll notice. Yeah, definitely the lightning bolt. She's also been pictured like doing the one eye symbol with a lightning bolt painted on her face. So it's a common. And plus, the Bible does say compare Satan to lightning. So if you want to go the biblical route, the Christian route, even the Bible does compare Satan to lightning. So yeah, that's yeah, there might be more to the Gaga. Usually, when you see a dog in a story, that's a relation to Sirius, the dog star. That might be connected. There might be a lot.
That's what I was assuming, and I was wondering if you might have some insight on that. So.
Yeah, I haven't really looked into that, but the star Sirius is located next to the constellation of Gemini. So very often you'll see Gemini and Sirius. The dog, you'll see a dog in Gemini. Like with the Rome, say Rome was founded by Romulus, who, along with his twin brother Remus, were nursed by a female wolf. But the dog star is also the wolf star. The Sirius is also called the wolf star. So I think that legend is based on Sirius and the constellation Gemini as well. So there's astronomy, astrology in most of these like myths and rituals. So I think I haven't looked at the Gaga thing, but there's a dog there. It probably has to do with Sirius,
right? In
some way.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Well, great work, Rambo. I look forward to the next broadcast. Can't wait to see what you got next time, man. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, you have a good night, friend. Take care.
You too.
All right. All right. Now